And welcome everybody to the second episode of the She-Hulk Attorney for Hire Spoilercast.
Shulk.
Old Shulky. As always, I'm Mitch. You can follow me on Twitter at 692tweets and of course Instagram at 692pics. And I'm, as always, joined by Sean.
Yep, you can join me it's only on Instagram on @MarvelMartian_12. I was getting used to that whole your new Instagram handle added to the.
Yeah, it might not be permanent. I'm just trying something out.
I was ready to talk right after you said your Twitter account. I was just like, and then I go, oh, okay.
It's like, no,
forgot about that.
One more thing. Oh yeah.
I followed you, by the way.
I requested a follow back, and I don't know if you accepted. You've been in your head for a couple of days. Just like, okay, sure, I'll see how it goes. Okay.
My mom waited like a month, so.
All right, just to jump straight into this, I'm gonna say off the bat, they should have dropped 2 episodes at once.
Yeah. I think they're trying new things. I think this is just another quote unquote experiment. You know, like this whole thing is a new thing in a nutshell as it is, and I think they're just trying to figure out their footing and how they're gonna roll out these shows officially.
Yeah. I say it's totally fine. It's just with this being less than 20 minutes taking out the credits and the recap, this should have been just a straight. The first 2 should have been out at once. I also think this. It's to do with the length, and I think this show ended on a more interesting cliffhanger, but it had that more pilot first episode ending vibe for me. But,
yeah, I mean, I think they originally wanted to drop 2 episodes at the same time, but the powers that be, I'm the low guy at the totem pole. I don't make those decisions. So, but
wait, sure, that's what it is.
One
It's
day,
not you're low. You hold the weight. You're Atlas holding the planet up.
One day, it'll be my decision.
And one day I'll give you more crap than I do now. Be like, what the hell you think? Why? Find an answer. Why is Kamala not human yet? What are you playing now?
We'll just have a Q&A show just on questions on what I haven't done.
But yeah, it's because I think as well episode 1 is like, oh, here's the setup for the Hulk side. Episode 2 is here's the setup for the Warrior side. I think where the show's both, and it's She-Hulk, you have to play on that combination of the 2 sides of it, like the lawyer, professional side, and the superhero side. I think having it as one pilot, like not pilot, I keep calling it pilot, like one premiere, would been a lot stronger. Not saying like they weren't strong on their own, because I really enjoyed both episodes. But I feel like the opening would have been a lot bigger with those 2, and have the subsequent 7 episodes coming afterwards. But it is what it is. It's not even a thing against the show. It's just a preference. I like watching it. I was like, this should have been the second one. We should have had both. But hey ho, what can you do? It is what it is. Like, any way, shape, or form. Like it's still. I really enjoyed this episode, but it had that. It's just really gotten good, and it's ended. Like, god damn it! I wanted more. It's purely a case of I just want more. Like, I'm not going to complain about the show not being an hour, because it's, if you say we're making a half-hour comedy, I'm not going to go in expecting an hour. And get what people. It should be an hour. No.
I think you're probably one of the more intelligent people when they talk about that. Most times I still hear, why isn't this an hour? It's like when it was pitched, I believe it was called a half-hour comedy. But like people are still asking that question. But this channel has the intelligent people, probably. Most likely.
Never hear that from anyone else. I appreciate that. It's fine.
But I mean, I would agree that it could have been a little bit stronger impact. But I mean, I think where the show started at and where it is now, I think so far, I think it's I think it's proven that it's a good, that they are got a solid hit on their hands.
So it's a really. I'm surprised at how strong this show actually is.
Yeah.
I was expecting a lot, a lot, and just to like it in general because of the cast. It's like you've won me. I said it last week. You won me over with the cast alone, but like, just genuinely surprising that how.
Well, I think half the battle. Yeah, I think half the battle is won when the cast is there, and then if you look at the guts of the show, with the writers and the showrunners, I mean, it's pretty strong pedigree. In terms of, what genre they're going for. I mean, there were problems, at the beginning, but I mean, I think they figured it out. And then,
I say you would never have guessed, to be honest.
Yeah.
At least me personally, like I would never have said there was anything going on with this show.
Well, I mean, like I think it all came down to it's a new genre for them. Like, there's comedy and there's comedy, things, elements and every Marvel thing, but like this is just aimed strictly as a comedy, almost sitcom, show. I mean, it's the most sitcom-ish version of a Marvel show you're gonna get. But I think it comes down to just the strong pedigree behind the show. I mean, Tatiana Maslany,
she's a treasure. She's an absolute treasure. That woman needs the world. Yeah.
I mean, she's Canadian, but I consider her American. Because of the, she is. I think.
Well, I mean, she's Canadian. She's one of mine, right? She's a Commonwealth. Like she's not American. Stop trying to take our stuff, Sean.
We're borrowing for a little bit, okay?
Like, you already took our language and butchered it. Like we have Madeleine. Like she's
we are the butcher of English. Language.
We lay claim to time.
But this is what I think. This is just a this is an example how to do a Deadpool-esque, fourth breaking wall thing.
It's really subtle. It's so subtle.
Very subtle.
The only thing I question with it is episode 1. She addresses the camera with the he doesn't mean that, and Bruce picks up on it, and he knows what she's doing. Yet in here, she's literally walking with Holloway, whatever his name is, talking to the camera, and he's not taking a blind bit of notice. I'm like,
I think that was done for comedy purposes.
I mean, more than likely, it's just
it is
one of those that I'm more interested, like not more interested in the rules, but like I want to. For me, I just like a bit of clarification of how that.
And I think you'll get that type of clarification throughout the season. You'll see almost better examples of the element in the show. I mean, I think there's going to be an episode.
That Hulk intro parody that was in the first trailer is actually in the show. It wasn't just for marketing.
I believe it was just for marketing, but I'm not entirely sure. But
I like that bit. I know that
it was a really good
people being like, "What the hell is this shit? Like, is this from the '80s or what's going on?" So it's supposed to be like that.
I'm gonna be honest with you. When that first teaser came out, I was really happy to see how people were confused about it, because I think the show's intended people to be a little confused about how the show is, and then once the show is
and keeps it in the conversation, doesn't it?
It keeps it a little bit more in the zeitgeist, but I really enjoyed that, but some things are just meant for promotional purposes, but like I think you'll be happy with what I think there's going to be some people that might not be happy with how some characters are handled. Obviously, I'm not pinpointing anyone specific.
You're gonna get all the Titania fans just come out of the woodwork and be like, "She's not like it, man." I was like, "Oh, shut up! No one gives a crap about Titania." I refuse to go.
I think I think they came out and just explained how the show works and how each character can be used this way and used a different way in another series, and I think you'll see where it's going.
Speaking of doing that, to keep it on that conversation, I don't trust Blonsky for a second.
Oh no, come on.
I do not trust him for an damn second. He wants out for the Thunderbolts.
Oh, well, I mean, absolutely. The government. I mean,
the government wants out for This whole thing is like, oh, my 7 soulmates. It's like, cool. One of them's Val, John Wood, Zemo. Like, you got a fair few going on. No, okay, Blonsky. You've written a haiku to Bruce just to cover your tracks and show how you reform. I see your plan here. Like,
I definitely give that up to Tim. I give it up to Tim Roth, man. He's a very shifty person. You know, he's a great actor. So glad to see him back. You know, and but I think he pulls that whole like, I got an ulterior motive behind and I'm telling you what you want to hear, so I can get what I want type situations. I give that.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where the Abomination plotline goes, because it's really interesting to see stuff. Like even just like down to Jen, like you can see the cogs working when he says, you know, I thought I was going to be bloody Captain America, and she like goes, bing. It's like there you go. You can see I can win this case now because of this, like what he just said.
Oh, that's a lawyer thing, yeah, for sure. I love how Tim Roth is like, he's kind of eating the scene a little, he's chewing the scenery just a little bit, but not so much that it's like a ham sandwich, you know. It's just enough to give you the feeling that, oh yeah, maybe this guy's changed, but then give you the same feeling as, is he really? You know, I don't know if that makes any sense, but it makes you question like what you feel.
Intentionally hammy.
Yeah,
like he's playing it up, you know, as she says, you know, tell it from the heart, not what you want to hear, or not what you think they want to hear. And it's like, no, he's telling her what she wants
to hear. Yeah, but I mean, he does it such a subtle way that it's like, it like at the beginning you're like, oh man, maybe I do believe this, but then he clicks in and you're like, this guy is, the tone of his voice isn't it's like trying to imitate how sincere it's supposed to feel, but it's not. I don't know if that makes sense.
I tell you what did it for me, it was his eyes.
Yeah.
As he went on, his eyes got a little bit more crazier, like not quite believable, and I'm like, he's really trying to sell this like a little too hard.
Yeah.
To Jet. It's like, I do not trust. Like, you know, obviously I wasn't going to trust him because it's Abomination for a starter, but you know, the way they can bring back anyone and just have them completely different. It's like, it's obviously going to be one way or the other, but I just straight up don't trust that guy.
He's also appealing to Jen's lawyer side.
Yeah. So hey, look, you can win this case, isn't it interesting? That you can really get me out, like that would really put your name up even more outside the whole She-Hulk bit.
I mean, even to this, I think she was hooked the minute it was propositioned to her, to be honest with you, because the conversation with Bruce, it didn't seem like she was telling him to say, I'm being nice and trying to ask you. It's more like, I'm telling you that I'm going to do this, but I want to make
Bruce,
it feel like...
Bruce says, right? He's like, you're only calling to tell me you got it. It's like, yeah, I'm telling you to take it. I'm calling to tell you that I'm taking the case.
It's that classic move. You know, it's that classic lawyer, you know, like conflicted thing.
Slightly slimy lawyer moment. Like, Well, all lawyers are the same.
Yeah, I think she's just like, from losing her job to getting rejected, and then finally landing a job, but only because she's She-Hulk, but then realizing that she can use that to her benefit. You know, it's just
like, hey, Jen can win this case, not She-Hulk. Like,
But, you know, it's interesting to see her, like, it almost reveals what she truly feels sometimes. Like she's in really but like, you know, it's a lawyer. I mean, every lawyer is kind of slimy in a way, even the good ones. You know, like they're always.
I think you kind of have to be a lawyer. You got to have like some sluggish behavior going on there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a profession where you're basically either you're trying to, you know, you're always trying to win a case, you know, so no matter what, you know, even when you get to a person like Matt Murdock, there's a bit of it still in him too, because he wants to win that case, you know, but We'll get to that later.
Being a lawyer is a bit like an actor. You can never really tell the true intention of someone.
Yeah.
Are they acting? Like, is it all just a thing for the gig? Like, what's actually going on here?
And also, let's take a minute, thank the higher ups at Marvel to bringing back Cousin Larry to TV. You know,
see, this reference is lost on me.
Well, there's a show in the '80s for young people called Perfect Strangers.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Yeah, and one of the actors his name is Cousin Larry. You know, and like Mark Lynn Baker. I mean, he doesn't look like he used to. He almost looks like Larry David now. But if you Google him, you know, he's an actor from a really beloved '80s TV show that in America. So it's nice to see people like
he
that.
plays the dad. Yeah. No, yeah. I was gonna bring up the dad. This is the second show in a row now where they've had like a family moment, and like he is like as good as the Miss Marvel stuff. I adored his character. He's so good. Like...
You know, he's deep. I love the conversation. So Hawkeye, does he?
Yeah.
All the, you know, it's just those little conversations, you know, that you know, and it's interesting to hear it in the context of people that are watching all this in peripheral, you know, and it's just a funny thing, you know, to like funny little conversations.
Is that typical, like, you know, you work in an industry and then people expect you to know everything and everyone? It's just no.
Well, not to be. I'm not bragging or anything like that. It does happen to me sometimes with my parents. My parents will ask me like, "Hey, you know, I heard you seen this guy, blah blah blah. You know, what's Brad Pitt like?" I was like, "Man, I met him for 5 minutes. You know, like he's a really nice guy for 5 minutes."
But you can't really judge a person in like 5 minutes.
You know, but I'll be honest with you, he's America's treasure too. Don't let anybody say anything otherwise. I guess.
Really? I mean, after the whole Angelina Jolie thing?
I don't know, man. Like, everybody makes their mistakes. You got to give a man a second chance.
Yeah, that's a hefty mistake.
But you know, that part when I first saw it really kind of resonated with me a little bit because it was like,
So it's something everyone can relate to, isn't it? Like you always get asked to see. It's like I have no idea about that.
Yeah. But it's fun. It's fun. I love those conversations. It's so interesting. It fills out the universe. It expands everybody.
And it's just like I find stuff like that. I find it quite smart because you're playing up the dumb questions people ask.
Yeah.
And so how do you take a dumb question like, "Oh, what happens to his arrows? Like, why aren't people picking those up?" You guys pick them up.
Well, I mean, I think this show does that in spades. You know, I mean, with everything, you know, right down to the Edward Norton thing. You know?
I had to explain that to my mother, and I'm just like, "You get that, don't you?" Because she laughed at it. Like, you know what they're talking about. It's like, well, yeah, because he's no longer Bruce. He's the Hulk. I was like, there's that angle to it. Yeah. But it's talking about when he was Edward Norton and not Mark Ruffalo.
It's a double entendre. You know, like he really is a different person as playing the character.
Like, you know, literally a different person.
Literally, and I think he even said that in the show.
Yeah, that's literally funny enough. Literally what he said. Yeah, she has that look like it's the fourth wall breaking in this. We talked about it last.
It's clever.
It's clever and it's subtle. It's not in your face. Like when he says that, and then she just turns, like, just glances at the camera and goes, "Ha," and then goes back to normal. It's like, that's how
subtle. You do it.
It's not in your face. It's not like forcing you to like laugh at it. It's like, no, it's just nice, subtle, clever.
And I'm not downing anybody that loved the Deadpool movies, but the Deadpool movies shoved it in your face and told you, hey, you have to laugh at this because it's really funny, right?
Yeah.
Right? You know, that's exactly
Deadpool's focused on telling you something's funny. She-Hulk is like, no, we're just funny. It's just funny. No.
It's like almost a wink and a nod, but it's like, you know, it's a wink and a nod actually to the audience, you know, and like either the audience gets it or they don't. But, you know, like there's you'll get that throughout the series, and it's like sprinkled in the right places, you know, and it's like it's not. And it like the whole show is almost breaking the fourth wall at some point, you know, because, you know, I don't know. It's just such a clever. It's an interesting, clever new take on the superhero genre. that
Yeah.
I'm not, and again, I'm trying to be biased here, but like I feel like Marvel, with the opposed to the train wreck on WB side.
The 50 million loss in market cap? What do you mean, a train wreck?
I'm sorry. Just a little like fender bender that's going on at WB, but like
scorched earth. That is Zavlav. Like,
whatever you think about the movies, you have to give it to the company, Marvel and Feige and all of them. They've, in a way, reinvented these characters by reinventing the genre each and every time. You know, like, whether you like it or not, it's just, like it's there. Like they try everything.
Whether you like it or not, they try something different every time.
Different, yeah.
Like this is
not every movie's the same.
Yes, you have the through line of comedy, and that's what really connects everything outside of the plot, I suppose. But it's, this isn't the same as Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
it's not the same as Moon Knight. Like, nothing. Sure, maybe the end of Phase 3 was getting a little samey and a little safe. I can give people that, but like since then, nothing's been the same. They've taken that on board and ran with it.
Well, what happens is like once you decide to connect to make a universe, you kind of have you're in a way you're sacrificing a little bit of that. You're gonna have to have some.
You want that cohesion and like people to feel. And
it's unfortunate it comes at the detriment of it looks the same. But like you can't say that every movie's the same because every movie's a take on a different genre. Like you can look at any movie and go, all right, that's a take on a very classic trope of a movie, and that's why I win, lose, or draw, I think Disney and Marvel have, done good, whether you like it or not. I mean, I don't know, you can't win everybody with everything, but like, to say that every movie, every TV show is the same is just redundant and kind of acidine in my own.
No, I definitely agree. I think that I think
they take a chance.
Like they're absolutely nailing Phase 4. Like everything is everything's different, and I adore it.
Yeah, I think they're finally finding the footing with the TV shows. Finally, I think it happens. I mean, it happened in Phase 1.
I was gonna say Phase 1, the movies. People who adored Iron Man 1. No one gave a crap about Hulk.
Yeah. I mean,
no one really cared about Cap or Thor. People adored Avengers because it was Iron Man.
Yeah.
But it was the Avengers movies that made people really get attached to the other characters. Like,
Yeah. But, I think what I love about She-Hulk is it's like it's such a different, I don't know, I'm just going around in circles, but I think it's a different take on the genre.
No, I absolutely agree. It's definitely, because it's not. Yes, it's another lawyer superhero. Like we've had that with Daredevil, but just how tonally different and insanely different it is to Daredevil. I imagine even what Born Again's going to be like. Like they're such totally different characters, yet we know they're going to share the same space in this, and that's going to be why it works. Because you haven't got to change Matt Murdock. Because everything we've seen for Daredevil in the promotional stuff, it's always like dimly lit dark. So like I'm really expecting like that Daredevil tone to carry through with that character and then to bounce off of Jen.
There will be, but there also that like Charlie will bring his natural. He's got a comedic balance too. I think he just didn't get a chance to shine in the TV show because it was such a dark. I think that was
very tunnel visioned in tone.
There's a special place in my heart with all those shows because of everything that I've been through with those shows. But I can also admit that there was no levity to any of that. It was all like a straight flat line. Like everything. They had moments of like comedic, but it wasn't like. I think you need a little levity in some of that stuff, or it's just gonna come off as being that's why I can't watch The Dark Knight anymore. Because it's so dark and it's so like gloomy and it's hard to take a break from the depressing parts. That's
you don't want to get beat. Like not saying the Daredevil shows are bad because they're not by any stretch of the imagination. I wasn't the biggest fan second half of season 2 for Daredevil, but it's still a good half of the season. Like It's just not as strong as the first time. But those shows as a whole are fantastic. It's like, even
it was
they're just not perfect. It's
I don't want to say anything is perfect. Like nothing. Everything has its holes. And if someone tells you otherwise, they're just delusional. Like everything's got a flaw in it. It's just how big of a flaw is it, and can the show overcome that flaw to be
exactly.
to get everybody on board. But I saw a lot of chatter about like how how they think the show will disrespect some characters, and I was like, guys, just chill out. Like just watch the show, watch the episodes, and then you're gonna get your dark, depressing Daredevil, but you're also, the character does have its light moments too, and I love the.
If he doesn't show up in that "I'm not Daredevil" shirt, 0 out of 10. No, I need that so badly.
I think that would have been funny, if it does happen. But just let's back to the episode. How did you like the Bruce reveal?
Well, I was going to talk about the Eternals reference and why this show is the absolute best thing they've done since Eternals, because it references Eternals.
Go for it. Yeah.
Everyone can shut the hell up now. They've talked about it, or they talk about it. They've mentioned it. Enough.
Yeah.
These
guys, Eternals is not going like they're not going anywhere, man. Like they are part of this universe, and
well, I mean, Harry Styles might not be around, but that's not here nor there.
I mean,
not a huge loss for me personally, but he said some stuff, but whether that's true or not, I don't know. The Bruce reveal, I was fully expecting it. It's just like, okay, this is where we're going. Like, first 5 seconds of the first episode, I was like, yeah, cool, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. Now, him going to space, not necessarily what I thought was going to happen. I thought it was going to come to him, not him go to that. But if it's a little baby spruggy Hulk, then it would make sense. It wouldn't go. You can't fly with a baby when it's a newborn. Why would you go into space with a newborn? It makes perfect sense.
We will see that.
I assume he's going to come back, and it's going to be like, "Hey, look what I have," and something's going to happen. But
I'll be honest with you. I would love for him to come back with a baby backpack. Reverse baby backpack, and have him,
I think I almost want to call him like Cooper, but I don't think it's like it's on the front.
Yeah.
There's a big thing with like Piers Morgan a couple of years ago where he was like actually turning red because guys dared carry their children on the front like a woman. Like, how dare they? Like, oh my god, that's not man.
And Piers Morgan is so manly, right?
Yeah. It's like, mate, so feminine. Look like a cut of ham. Shut the fuck up. No.
He looks like he just walked out of a nail salon. Let's put it that way. Like he's just got a manicure and a pedi.
He's a very precious person.
So I don't know where he gets off talking about manly things.
Yeah,
can't picture Piers Morgan fixing his car or lifting weights at all. End the subject.
Wait, that guy lifts the floor. Let's be honest. But no, if Hulk shows up with like a little green baby on the front, I would die laughing. No.
And well, I'm sure we'll get the woke comments in the section.
You get it now just because She-Hulk dares to have tits in a vagina and there's no like dangling sack between her legs. It's like
the incels. You gotta keep things interesting.
Interesting. A very strong word for it, but it's one of those. You can see the reveal was kind of surprising because it's like, you're trying to cut back, so you cut 3 episodes for CGI reasons. It's like, you could have just had Bruce on the phone. Like he was on the phone, but like just the voiceover, like not actually show him in space. Like, I appreciate that.
So, like, I had a question with one of the writers one time. I was like, "What type of phone service does Bruce have, man? Because I would love to have that."
The fact that he somehow to go even further and he cuts off. It's like
it's definitely not Sprint or T-Mobile. I can tell you that. But
O2 during the UK, you know that one.
But yeah, it was interesting. I love that reveal. I'll be honest with you. I honestly completely forgot that part. When I watched it, I was like, oh, okay, that's
so
exactly
it makes me, in my head now, I'm like, okay, he's off planet. I get why they're taking it away, because it is a She-Hulk show. It's not a Bruce Banner show, right?
Yeah.
But is he gonna come back at the end with it? Is what obviously don't tell me if he is or he isn't. But it's just
I'm
like
blinking.
once for yes, twice for no. That's
Yes.
how
Yeah.
Is he gonna come back? Like, I assume he comes back, because why would you not have Ruffalo back? Like, come on.
Well, I mean, you could use this show to springboard into whatever that they're going to decide to do with the Hulk.
I get the feeling that this show is going to be important down the line. A, for Thunderbolts. B, for this, or B, for like a World War Hulk movie. Because why would Hulk go back to Sakaar? There's literally a dangling plot thread right there that they can easily go in on. Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, this show's a very like. I think this is a setting up point for a lot of ideas for upcoming ideas. It's just yeah, I mean, that's with any Marvel TV show though. You walk. It's like a walking. Sometimes it's a billboard for the upcoming project. I think with the exception of maybe Scarlet Vision.
I mean, WandaVision was like, hey, Doctor.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, yes, no, Doctor Strange wasn't in it, but I
mean, you can assume.
You know what? I wouldn't even. No, I'm going to take that back. That's not a billboard for Doctor Strange in the slightest, because it didn't advertise anything. It was just like, hey, cool. I'm over here now into the show. Like, there was no connection to Strange at that point. But Falcon and Winter Soldier, clearly a Captain America 4 setup. Clearly advertising that. You got Loki. Yeah, Thunderbolts. Yeah, that was the start of everything. But speaking of Thunderbolts, I find it funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
People latched on to this. Is all relevant because Eternals was referenced in this show, in this episode, even. People latched on to the whole oh, no one's talking about the giant stone guy in the ocean. And I understand there's a slight difference in comparison of what I'm about to make here, right? Yes, one's a giant stone guy sticking out of the goddamn planet, right? I understand that. Huge thing. But we haven't seen Val since Black Widow. Like 2 years ago. No one's talking about what's this woman up to, who was literally in 2/3 of the thing at the start of the phase. Like, we know what she's leading up to, but she hasn't been seen or mentioned since. And it's like, just let people tell me what she was in Hawkeye. You were right. Completely ignore me. I'm an idiot. Yeah.
But I mean, you also got to realize though, like Val's the Nick Fury Black Ops guy. You're most likely gonna get something soon. When involving her. But like,
I'm expecting her in this show at some point. I'm
maybe. Yeah.
Blonsky to be like actually given parole, and then I'll show up. Like, that's kind of where I'm heading.
I mean, if it happens, it's great. That would be great. I mean, like that would be interesting. I mean, that would just put another, card on the table, so to speak.
But it's my whole point was going to be just let people tell the story at their own pace. No. They will. Val wasn't around for a while until Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Like, one said a damn word about it. Like, it's only been a few things as Eternals. Just let them get.
I think people get a little impatient, and then like this stuff is gonna be relevant. It's just right now they're getting to a point where they're kind of veering now. So they're gonna do the space stuff and they're doing the street stuff. Like this is the street stuff, man. Like, yes, again, gigantic stone guy in the middle of the ocean, but there's a lot of other things going on around that character too. So I mean, that's more relevant to what the character is.
I never understand people going like, oh, why is everything just got to be like a walking billboard and an advertisement for the next thing? It's like, but you're literally wanting that.
Yeah.
Like, you're wanting everyone to stop the show or movie and whatever and talk about a giant stone guy. What do you want them to say? Like, oh yeah, giant stone guy. Also, that's weird.
what do people expect about, like, when you're building a universe? Like, if it was happening with any other property, people wouldn't be talking about it. They wouldn't care about, like, world building and stuff like that. It's just how it is. You just, like, the next project might lend itself more to that specific topic. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
I don't know. People.
No, I bet you in 6 months' time, no one's going to be like, "Hey, why haven't we seen Wolverine yet?" Because She-Hulk also hinted at Wolverine.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
no one's going to go on about that. No, but it's this what that's whatever. That's fine.
I
Even though
chalk it up
I'm
to people
secretly
being trolls.
hoping, I'm really hoping it's not a Wolverine thing, and the first thing we see about that Easter egg is like Leonis from the Humans, like the lying guy with the metal claws. Like, just please, just give me that. Give me that. He came before Wolverine. Just give me that, please.
I chalk those people up to being trolls. Like, just, they think it's funny to make fun of some, like, just like, like Eternals, I think, honestly, is like probably one of the best films that they put out so far, like, in this phase. It's beautiful. It has its problems, sure, but it was very entertaining and it was very beautiful shot. I think people just don't like it because other people don't like it, so they're gonna go, "Oh, we're just gonna make fun of it and jump on the bandwagon." Like, secretly, I think these people like the film. They just don't want to,
I don't know. I think, like, I think a lot of people are being genuine and not liking Eternals, and I'm not gonna blame them for not liking it, because I can see why people don't like it. But it's that film or scratched an itch for me, and it's my weird space stuff, and I like my weird space stuff.
I think it's, I don't know, the fandom is like, if they don't like it, it becomes the joke machine,
Yeah, I mean, it's just meme culture, right? People just meme on stuff all the time. It's not like
so if you did that to the Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Returns or whatever
I mean,
the one with Joker,
you'd have a slight different thing there. It'd be a slightly different situation, but I think it's
But I mean, if you do it to their favorite thing, it would be different. It's
just, that's literally just life, though, isn't it? You always
you just come back and say, all right, whatever, man. I'll see you in a couple of years.
Meme that's actually like really pointing out something that wasn't great in the movie, and it's generally the meme's funny. You're damn right, I'm laughing at it.
Yeah, I mean,
you're damn
I'm
right.
sure Chloe Zhao was laughing at it too, but like, it, when you get down to it, it was a successful film, and it was not a flop per se. Like, it made money. It made a lot of money. Maybe it didn't make the money that that people think it should have made.
No,
like,
but
I don't know.
Bring this all background, right? It made roughly the same as Shang-Chi. Yeah, people don't think Shang-Chi's a flop. But speaking of Shang-Chi, nice little tie-in at the end of this episode.
Yeah.
There's people talking about a time, like, this episode, like, muddles up the timeline. I don't quite understand that. It's like, Shang-Chi's in like 2024 and it's 2025. It's like, and
he should be around.
It's like, it's totally fine. Like, Bruce didn't have a healed arm.
He still was in the sling, right?
Yeah, he was in the sling. Like, sure, he was in the human form, but you don't know when that post-credit scene took place.
Yeah.
It could have been months after. We don't know exactly when, unless it tells. I'm completely forgetting because I haven't watched the movie in a minute. But
I don't think it. I think.
I don't think it goes like 2 weeks later or anything. Like, I don't think it does that.
I mean, if it did something, it probably was like present day or something. I don't know, but it didn't like give a specific date or anything. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Stuff always takes a while to leak, so it's like the leak bit's fine, the arm thing's fine. Like, it's all fine. No.
Yeah, it's all good.
Isn't Bruce still in the sling at the start of She-Hulk as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
He had the sling in the car. Yeah.
So it's, even if it was the Bruce bit, it's like, cool. Well, he's got the prototype thing in his arm, right? At the start of She-Hulk. So who's to say he didn't have that at the start of the end of Shang-Chi? Like, you didn't see because he's got the shirt over his arm, right?
He had the long sleeve button down on his arm. So
it's like
absolutely absurd.
I don't know. If anyone who like genuinely thinks that there's a time, I think, and has like a photographic memory of every second of every frame, like, Let me
prove
know
it.
exactly. Let me know
Take a
exactly.
screenshot.
Yeah, I'll take a screenshot. Like,
Take
give
a
me
screenshot of it.
hard dates. I want to know when.
But I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's a very minute detail.
It is very minute, but as someone who will be like, oh, like, you know, when Sony came out and was like, oh, here's Peter Parker's birthday. I'm like, oh, that's wrong. It doesn't make sense.
Oh,
Like,
that's Sony. I mean,
but still, like, stuff like that still like niggles at my brain, and like you ignore it and you forget, and someone brings it up, you're like, oh, for God's sake, it's annoying as hell. Like,
I mean, just bring up that Sony. You know, I mean that negates.
But then
any
this is Marvel doing it to themselves, though. That's slightly worse. As if
well,
it
I
is.
mean,
Like, I'm gonna actually like legit prove
if
it. Like.
if it is, then okay. If it's not, it's like it's you also. I mean, like I think people. It's a really hard thing to juggle when the machine gets this big.
You're always
You know,
gonna make a mistake at some point.
you had to like. I mean, look at the comics. They had to like extend people's origins a million times to explain why they look the way they do. You know, like it's
Marvel
just
literally made a sliding timescale rule for the universe, and they Al Ewing explained it. God bless him. Like, that stuff's wild. Like I love it.
I think you know, like they're pretty deep into the universe right now. You know, like they can't. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are or how much you keep records. Like things are gonna get kind of jumbled a little bit, but they tend to retcon things really quickly. So
True, very true.
I don't know. You know, I think it's a very. I mean, if it's an
It's
argument,
a very
it's a
minor thing.
Minor
It is absolutely minor. I wouldn't have even thought about it if someone hadn't mentioned it. But it's just like, you know what? I'll be interested to see what the actual like reasoning and evidence for where two things take place.
Well,
but
I think one of the biggest problems they have is like they don't really. I don't know if it's a problem. I think it's probably a good thing by not really giving hard concrete dates on these films. You know, because once you solidify that date, everybody will remembers it, and you can't change it.
They've been doing this thing recently where you have dates in stuff like the background, like Miss Marvel. They hard date when that is because one of the like, fast food guys in Jersey in his van has the like the health grading thing and date of when it was graded. So like, and also being like Eden Mubakal, I can't remember how you pronounce it, like that hard dates that time period in that year. So you can, she's really staring at everything. You can piece everything together, and that's what they, at least like, from what I've noticed, that's how they've been doing it recently. It's no like, oh cool, yeah, we're in 2012. There's none of that anymore. It's just like, okay.
I think there's a lot of moving parts, and people are gonna make mistakes. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, I focus on making the show. It's not robots. You're gonna get mistakes. Like,
I focus on if the quality of the show is there versus like
which
is it 100%.
I am really enjoying this show. I'm really enjoying it. I'm looking forward to it every week. And it's going to be sad when this ends and Andor's still going on. Like,
God. Poor Andor.
Like, really? Okay.
You can see him walking away going,
it's like, okay.
Let's get it over with. It's like getting your measles shots, you know. Let's
it's like 12 of them is what it is.
Yeah. I hope you enjoy it because
I really hope I enjoy it just to shut me up. I know I can
too. Oh, me too. No, we'll get to that when we get to it. But,
you know, like, even She-Hulk as a show, She-Hulk, a bit like Loki, was never top of my list. I was like, cool. I've liked the bits I've read of She-Hulk. I've never really been a fan. Just a pure association with the Hulk, right? Like, it's like, oh, Hulk, I don't give a crap about anything Hulk, like, or as hell, right? And it's like, you know what? Genuinely surprised by this show. I'm really enjoying it.
I read the Byrne stuff when I was a kid, and then Charles Soule stuff recently, and I love the fact that they kind of merge it together. You know, the character, you know, like it's an amalgamation of both runs of those characters. You know, I'm not saying I'm the biggest fan of She-Hulk, but I definitely enjoy it. Reading it when I was a kid, you know, like for the I don't know, for being a young boy, you know, I don't know. You know, like
I wonder why young Sean likes She-Hulk.
I mean, you know, it's a nerd's penthouse for sure.
I'm just no judgment.
It's a nerd's penthouse for sure. You know, like it's like I mean, if you go back to read some of those old comics, it's a very salacious comic. You know, like there's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of innuendos and stuff like that you didn't get
Very
in like
lewd.
Captain America.
Very lewd. Very lewd.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like bad. It was just like for a young kid seeing something like that after reading Spider-Man, you know, it's kind of a different, you know, thing, you know, and you're a guy, you know. I'm sure there's gonna be interesting comments in this comment section.
If anyone says anything against it, they are bold-faced lying.
I'm like, look, I own it. I mean, I was a young kid. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, it's not like
she's drawn a certain way. It's what they want you to do, you know. There was a little
I mean,
over it, you know.
Yeah, I think this show kind of amalgamates both runs, and the Charles Soule run is really really fun to
say. I've heard really good stuff about the Soule run.
Yeah, and that's a completely different version of the character. It's not. It's more. It's more of a geared to. I mean, the older version was comedy too, but it was more like courtroom stuff, you know, and like it you know, if they had to pull from two runs, I'm glad they pulled from that. You know, like that's a good thing. You know?
Because we're getting a little bit of both right in this show. You get the courtroom stuff, and you get the like Jen outside of everything and how she's coping with everything.
Well, and then you also get Jen interacting with the Marvel universe and all the secondary crazy tertiary characters that you don't see in. You're never going to see Frogman or whatever they're calling him now in the show.
It's like leapfrog, isn't it? Because don't they kind of like hint towards that in this episode?
Yeah. So you're not gonna get that character ever again unless you just a season 2 and the guys in the show.
It's gonna be a season 2. Let's be honest here.
Oh no, yeah. Well, you'd have to be, you know, like.
I've always taken looking at these shows. The ones that start as a Disney Plus series are going to get a sequel. The ones that started in the movies may get a sequel, maybe not.
Yeah. You know,
I can, you know, like House of Harkness, I can clearly see that being a sequel to WandaVision. Like, is she going to be in it? I assume so. No.
It could be a spiritual sequel to that show, you know. Yeah, and I don't know, you know, it's
like Hawkeye's the interesting one now because it's both. So it's like,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot more to draw from that character if they decide to do something for a second season, you know. And who knows? I mean, you could almost port Clint into a mentor position if they do the Young Avengers, you know. Like it's just.
What do you mean Avengers Academy?
Or Avengers Academy, yes. But like
that name still not hot on it. Sounds like a mobile game. That's my problem.
It was a mobile game.
It was. I can never remember if that was actually the name of the game or it was something slightly like akin to that.
I prefer Young Avengers, but you know.
I get why they call it Young Avengers because Young anything is corny as crap, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like X Babies or X-Men Babies, like whatever they called them back then. It's like, it's kind of.
I mean, you never know what they decide to do along the line. You know, like it just because they get the the rights to the users. You know, I'm having one of those moments where I can't even think of a word. I don't know if you've had this, but when they file
Young
for
Justice is bad.
Well, when they file for like, you know, the rights to use those titles and stuff like that, it doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% gonna be that. It's just they're covering their bases by getting that. You know, I don't know if this is the case.
We're gonna use that.
Yeah, I mean, because like you always run into people that like there are people out there that buy, they
Like
get the
domain
names,
names and all that
yeah,
stuff.
and then they try to extort people to get the I'm not to say that happens, but like they just try to cover their bases. They have enough money to spend to get any name they want, but
very true. Right. Well,
yeah.
we're gonna bring this to an end. So, good episode. Post-credit scene wasn't as good as the first one. I just
Yeah.
no. I liked
The
it, but
first
it's
one
like the Captain America one. That's 100%. That set a really high bar for these
Yeah, I was gonna
post-credits.
say like they set a pretty high bar with the first one, so like,
And I like how it still feels like it's a scene that they couldn't justify being in the show,
yeah.
but it just makes a really good post-credits. Just like,
Yeah.
this is funny. It's not good enough to like, it slows it down a little bit too much, or it doesn't really like it stops the flow.
Yeah.
Like, put it at the end of the credits. That's totally fine. I
laughed out loud the first time I heard it. I was like,
it's just kind of an instant meme. I adored that first one.
It's just you chalk it up to Tatiana Maslany, man. Like
the second one, like I found the second one quite clever with the whole like, oh, you need 4K. What is it? I don't know. You just need it. No one really knows what 4K is. Like, everyone knows you need it. It's like, okay. Why is it called 4K? Because it's not actually 4,000 pixels. It's no, but you can't call it 30. You can't call it 38K, can you?
Or 300.99999K. It's like
just like, oh, what's 3860 by 2190?
It's all 4K? About marketing, man.
Exactly.
It's all the marketing.
Exactly. But yeah, so we'll catch you next week. Well, actually, we might not. I definitely will. We'll see what happens next week. But
I'm gonna be enjoying the Disneylands.
Gotta say hi to Wonder for me.
Yep. All right, man. I gotta get going.
But yeah, we'll catch you next week. So bye bye.
Bye bye.